Oops, I better shut up.
I've got some salmon
So
and some asparagus, I think is what I'm gonna fix, even though it's only lunchtime here.
if everybody can change their name to where they're logging in from,
Yeah,
because I know we have a lot of international people
all right, I can do
who come
that.
to this. So
Yep.
I'm eating some fresh picked blueberries.
Sorry, I don't know how to change my name.
You
Click on your
yeah, go ahead.
face, and then up on the right, there's
Oh,
three
where the
little
three dots are? Okay.
and it gives you
rename.
options.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I was working this morning, and when I was coming back, I almost bought some more blueberries, but I was like, oh, this has been a long day. I'm just gonna, but blueberry season here is pretty short. So
I mean, I never saw a blueberry in the wild till like about 5 years ago when I was up in Oregon.
oh yeah,
Yeah. I don't know, I
I'm
suppose
waiting
they
for the
grow 'em.
cherry season to start. I bought some cherries and they were like $5 a pound, and I'm hoping
Oh my
I
gosh.
spent $14 on cherries.
so basically today, the idea is each person either brings some food to share or brings a picture or just, talks about what is something you eat regularly or your favorite food. And for me, I grew up around a lot of Native Americans. And in Native American tradition, it's corn, beans, and squash is the three sisters.
Mhm.
And so I make this quinoa salad that has corn, beans, and squash in it. I usually call it Southwest salad.
You're,
But then,
you
quinoa
still
is,
love the three sisters?
yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know what the three sisters mean. So
It's like what the French call it, mirepoix, which is carrots, onions, and celery, I think. That's kind of their base thing they use for cooking.
yeah.
Well, I'm big on photographs. I like taking pictures of food. So I heard that you'll probably get sick of looking at mine.
Just like, well, I just get sick of it because it's so beautiful and I don't get any. I mean, there's mine. Well, my blueberries are rolling off the plate.
Your plate is pretty, but it's too busy.
Well, look at the back of the plate. The back of the plate
distracts
is
from the food.
also
That's all I'm
art.
saying. Yeah.
This is a local artist, and I bought it for my cooking show to just plate food. The idea is you're supposed to cover the whole plate so you don't see as much of it.
That would make a nice to have on the with the some fruit, oranges and apples and fruit on it or something like that.
So
Mine's
Fred,
all
do you want to
white.
share what your favorite is? You said you were going to share a picture.
Where do I start? Well, I have a number of ones. One I just did recently. I've got it.
Well, you changed where you're from, but you took off your name.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll put my name on.
I was just like, I almost called you Edmonton.
No, I said Fred, Seal Beach, California. Nobody cares what my last name is.
No, not you, Fred.
Me.
Oh, somebody else?
Yeah.
You said Fred. Oh, okay. So, all right, let me go and get, this is what I cooked yesterday. And then let's see, I'll do screen share.
Yalda, what is something you eat regularly? It's hot this time of the year, so I eat a lot of cucumbers.
Okay, so this was what I cooked yesterday. And this is basically, Szechuan chicken with vegetables. And so you can see in there the different vegetables. There's mushrooms, there's a little carrot, there's a little kind of a little bell pepper, there's green onions, there's a piece of green onion there, there's some green beans.
What did you
There's
call
a-
it again?
Szechuan stir fry chicken.
And so Szechuan,
What makes it Szechuan is the fact that it has Szechuan pepper in there, which is not really a pepper, but it gives Szechuan gives this tingly sensation in your mouth, and that's what makes Szechuan.
that
chicken
sounds wrong.
what it is.
Tingly sensation in your mouth.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I sent you some, didn't I not?
I love it, but I was trying to tease you into like defending it,
Oh, yeah. I really
explaining why
like
you
it.
love this pepper so much.
Yeah.
I thought Fred said that it isn't a red pepper. It isn't a hot pepper. What is Szechuan?
This right here is a bird's eye Thai pepper. The
So
one-
he did put a hot pepper in here, but
I put a couple in
Szechuan
there and
pepper
I
is
stirred
not
them
hot.
up. I didn't chop them up. Szechuan peppers are not really even in the pepper family. They just call them that. Don't ask me why. And you grind them up very fine and then you put them in the dish. And there's actually a common name is called prickly ash. That's the common name. There's a number of plants that produce this, but in Szechuan, I've been there in Chengdu, which is the capital of Szechuan. That's where they use that particular, you want to call it an herb rather than a pepper, but it's popular in the dishes.
I mean, it looks like a peppercorn, so probably why they call it a pepper.
Yeah, it looks like a peppercorn, but it's not even related to it at all. It's more got a citrus, the taste of it is more towards citrusy kind of a taste. Mainly it's there because it does give this little numbness to your mouth, which I guess it's an acquired taste, but
I really enjoyed it. I mean,
me too.
I got a little pepper grinder now and I just grind it on there.
Yeah, and I told you the story, but I'll tell everybody else the story. I was up in West LA. I live near Los Angeles in a neighborhood I used to work in many years ago. And now it's kind of like Little Tokyo. There's a lot of Japanese restaurants, but other Asian restaurants there. And for years, the Szechuan peppers were not importable into the US or some kind of food safety thing. I don't know exactly why. But then suddenly now they are available. So I've been thinking about this for years because I knew about them from when I was in China, but they were always hard to get. So I never cooked with them. So anyway, I'm looking for a place to eat. I'm in this neighborhood and I see this place that says Killer Noodle. And I like noodles. I thought, Killer Noodle, what's that about? So I go in there and I sit down and they got this big, kind of a big napkin holder in the middle of the table. And I see there's a little sign there and it says, how hot do you want it? And then it's got like, 1 to 10, you can order. And then how numb do you want it? 1 to 10. And I thought, numb?
Numb, why would you want?
They've got to have Szechuan pepper here. So the kid comes over, young Chinese kid, born in LA probably. And I said, is this Szechuan pepper in there? And he goes, oh, I don't know. And I look on there and it says prickly ash, which is the common English name for the pepper. And so I ordered it about 5 on the hot scale and 5 on the numb scale. And they brought me this big bowl, man, with noodles. And I was like in 7th heaven. That stuff was so good. The problem is like 25 miles from here. It's too far to drive over there. But
Welcome, Yalda.
yeah.
Yes.
And then that's when I discovered I could order them, I could order them online myself because now they're available. And so I've been using them quite a bit. I do Szechuan green beans. You can do green beans. I usually parboil them, even though the original Szechuan beans would be a Chinese long bean.
They're like really long. I mean, they're like a
That's
couple
right.
foot long.
Exactly. And they're available around here because where I live, we have a large Asian population, but I haven't been shopping, for a whole year because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I do get, so I've used.
Every
green
once in a while,
beans.
my local farmers have them, and like I'll stock up
Yeah,
because they
I
freeze
like
really
'em.
well because they're really thin.
Yeah,
And so
no,
I
I like them
I
too.
can chop them up, pre-chop them, and then freeze them, and they don't lose any texture at all.
Yeah, well, what I do, when I do this, I'm using conventional green beans when I do Szechuan
I love green beans. I go to the
stir-fried
Chinese
green beans.
buffets just for green beans. I'll eat like 2 plates of green beans.
And depending on the recipe, they tell you to blister them, you can put them under the broiler and all that kind of stuff, dry
That sounds like
fry
too much
them.
work.
It does. So what I do is I parboil them. I get a pot of water going, I throw the beans in there, they get pre-cooked a little bit. Then when I put them in the pan, I can get them, charred a little on the outside without, they're not raw on the inside. It's kind of like, you could do that with French
But I
fried
mean, green
potatoes,
beans,
too.
good green beans, you can eat raw. They're crunchy, so
Yeah,
I don't
well,
think you
don't
need to
wanna-
cook them at all.
Well, in this dish, it depends on your taste. I don't like them too crunchy. And usually what I use is, I use shallots and shiitake mushrooms. I chop that up, I saute that, a little olive oil, and, throw the beans in there. And so it's similar to this recipe. It's just instead of chicken, it's well, and this has other vegetable. When I do the green beans, Szechuan green beans, it's just green beans and, condiments. There's no other vegetables in it. So that's another alternative dish that I like.
Yalda, in your country, do you eat much food with rice? You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, we do a lot of rice with different things, with lentils, with shrimps, with everything, and also rice with stews. So we
Yeah.
make stews separately and then serve it with rice.
Also,
Yeah.
sweet rice.
Sweet rice is something from my region only. Not all the country appreciate sweet rice. We make a special rice with sugar basically and saffron, and we call it shirin polo, which means
I've never had like bought saffron because it always seems very expensive. Is it worth buying?
if you know what to cook with it. We are so
'cause-
obsessed putting saffron in anything we make.
Yeah, if I just put it in, I would waste my money.
I
Yes,
think
you have to.
grow it in Spain and in Iran.
Yeah.
For some reason that comes to mind.
So
It's still
yeah, we're
expensive.
obsessed in like putting them in, even in ice cream. We have saffron ice creams. We have
Ooh.
saffron.
But is it real saffron? I heard there's fake saffron also.
There is also, yes, but like as I said, we are so obsessed to buy the perfect one, which should come from Mashhad. It's a city of Iran, and people go there to get the real.
Yeah, and I
Have
think
you ever
like in,
cooked?
I
Have
think
you
like
cooked
in,
with saffron before? Like, how do you be
Yeah,
very careful?
I always cook with saffron. I actually cooked something here in Verona. I took to the lab to my coworkers so that they like have something
Oh,
fresh.
you're gonna have
Yeah.
to. If you'll teach me how to cook with saffron, I'll buy some saffron and we'll cook together.
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
can do that. I
I
really
think
want to show you the picture of it, but is it possible? I don't know. Let's see if I can. Okay. It seems that I can.
Sometimes it's harder to do on a phone, but it's possible to do.
Yes, yes. Let's see if I can.
yeah, in
Fine.
Spain, sometimes I think they use turmeric to give color to their paella rather than saffron.
Okay, so I will do it in a little bit.
Okay.
Later,
Ingeborg, are you making
because
big stews or are you
I
making
have to.
salads this time of the year?
You
It's,
talking to me?
yeah, Ingeborg.
Well, I'm trying to do cold soups, getting out of my garden type stuff. So I made yesterday a cold. I had an overgrown squash, and I made cold squash soup with fresh basil, and leverage. I
Okay,
don't know.
that doesn't sound good. Cold squash soup.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Ha-
The same
Like
like, yeah.
what do you flavor it with?
I flavor it with Knorr and another Polish spicing. I have I have over 200 spices in my cabinet. So, but these are finished stuff from Europe. So what makes soups great tasting.
Well, I thought what makes soup very tasting is you add cream to it. That's French style.
Yes, I do.
You just add cream to anything and it tastes good.
Yeah, okay, well.
It's
Yeah.
not very healthy, but
Yeah, I mean, that's, you do cream fresh and you use cream and put lemon in it and you have cream fresh.
so let's see. So
Is
in
that
my
similar
mind,
to like vichyssoise?
It's like vichyssoise, exactly. It tastes
what
very
is
similar.
vichyssoise? I'm
Vichyssoise is
ignorant.
cold cucumber soup.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a cold soup made of boiled and pureed leeks, onions, tomatoes, cream, and chicken stock. And it's served cold.
Mice is unless cucumber or potatoes, cold potato soup,
Yeah, you can put in there what you want, I assume, yeah.
It's
so
good.
you cook it, you cool it, and then you get a
No, I
blender and
cook it.
blend it? Or,
Yeah, I put my little stick in there, speed it up.
oh, I love
And-
those. You have one of those
Immersion
yeah.
blender.
But it
what,
had
a
big,
merchant blender.
yeah. But it had big seeds in it, so I need to run it through a sieve to get the seeds out, and then put my shovel in it and my once through the herb garden and dill, and then I keep it in the refrigerator because I have a coach for coming tomorrow. So
It can be eaten hot, but traditionally it's cold.
it tastes much better cold. It takes the flavor of the fresh herbs on the.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So like you put the fresh herbs afterwards and then it
Yes,
sets
absolutely after.
and absorbs like the dill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've had a cucumber like that. I guess,
The
like a
cucumber, you
zucchini
cook-
wouldn't be much different than cucumber.
Take cucumbers and onion, and then use like Knorr or Maggi, this Finnish type of soup stock. That is, or the Polish have another one. What's the cheapest one to get here? But I mean, it's Knorr or Maggi, and then use it as your stock. That gives everything a flavor.
Okay, when you're saying Maggie, that's the little like soup powder or the little cubes?
Yeah, you can use the
Oh.
cubes or you can do the soup powder. Mhm.
They use that a lot in Mexico also.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like oh wow,
Wow.
Yalda.
Look at that.
I don't even know what that is, but it's art.
It sure
Thank
is.
you. Yeah, this is the one I made for my colleagues. So it's called Halva. It's a sweet and it has a soft texture, like creamy texture. It's made with carrots, flour, butter, and rose butter and saffron, and a little bit of carb.
So it's baked? Is it baked?
Yes, you have to bake it. No, cook it, not bake.
I see.
So I guess you cook the carrots and then you mix everything and let it cool.
I cooked the carrots and separately I cooked the flour with the butter, like in a pan. You mix it, you can kind
A
of make it.
roux. Yeah, we call that a roux.
Well, a roux would be like browning it. It sounds like more
Flour and
like
butter.
a sauce.
Yeah, we don't let it become brown. We just make it mix with the flour and make it come kind of creamy, and then we add the mashed carrots, and the carrots are already with sugar and rose water and saffron, and we mix them all, and we mix until it gets a texture, like a harder texture, not a watery texture.
Okay.
And we decorate it with almonds in the center, the pistachios, and those little roses. They're edible. So they're
Wow.
Yeah.
So I have everything right now in my house except saffron. So we could go into my kitchen and make it, but I don't have saffron. So how bad would it be without saffron?
We are Persians, so we put
She's just like, nope.
That's like an American having a hot dog with just the with no hot dog, just the bun or something.
No, come on, Fred. That's not even a comparison.
yeah, it's like hot dogs without the mustard sauce.
Yeah, there you go. Hot dog
I
without
don't even.
mustard.
You're comparing saffron to mustard sauce?
Well, it's American versus Iranian.
Oh,
What
No,
kind
not
of
even-
flour is the saffron from? It's the pistils, right? Or
It's
the
pistil of
pollen
the
or
flower,
something.
yeah.
Is it
Crocus.
an orchid or
It's a crocus. It's a
crocus? Oh,
it's a
crocus.
Crocus.
Yeah.
You
Can
call it
you-
pistil, okay.
Imagine going and picking all those little teeny
Yeah, to make a palm.
centers.
Yeah,
That's-
then dry it, and yeah, it's a whole process to get them all, and then we mash it like powder it. We make it like powder, and then put hot water on it a little bit so that it starts giving the color to the water, and then we add the water to anything we want, like the rice or this halva.
So we do something similar in the US with honeysuckle. I don't
Honey
know if
what?
you. Here, I'll
It's
share
a
the
flower.
screen
Maybe
here.
It's
the
a-
pistils from honeysuckle.
We used to
To-
do that when we were a kid. We used to suck on those honeysuckle blossoms.
So I mean, basically the center of it, you can use the outside flour also. It's pretty tender, and you make like wine or jams or syrup. It's very, very light and refreshing. Now,
Interesting.
honeysuckle, I think, grows all over the world, but in the US, it's an exotic. They brought it from other countries here. So it grows wild and takes over everything.
Yeah, it's
Like
invasive.
kudzu.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, but the people have figured out how to use it. But yeah, I mean, if you ever can get some honeysuckle jelly, it's just like so light and refreshing. And like early in the morning, when you get like a little dew in the air, like moisture will collect inside the flour. We used to do that as a kid. You'd take it and you'd break off the bottom part and then suck the little bit of
What?
water into your mouth, and it would
Exactly.
have the flavor.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I don't
Yeah.
know why we sucked it, because you can eat the whole flour.
Yeah, we didn't
But it
know
was
that.
just
That's
the-
just the
the
way we learned
process.
to do it. Yeah,
You know,
that's funny. I remember that too.
up Howard's actually eating. You going to share what you're eating, Howard? This is dinner party.
Leftovers.
I haven't got around to eating, but I got blueberries and I've got quinoa salad with
Well, Fred should be eating too. It's lunchtime here in California.
the Three Sisters, which is corn, beans, and squash, which is Native American.
Yeah, I got
but
too busy to.
I did eat lunch like a couple hours ago, but I'm going to eat again here. I'm just too busy talking. So what is your leftovers? You going to share or no?
We had a big party a few days ago.
Fred knows it's
There
the
was food for
leftovers
like
from the
100
potluck.
people, and there were only 14.
That's why you host a potluck, in the hopes that everybody brings food and
That's what happened.
leaves some.
No, most of the stuff was brought home except for a little bit of cheese. But yeah, just way too much stuff. Stir fry with rice, and that's like lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next week, because
His
that was a
mom
huge potluck.
cooking. His mom was cooking lots of Chinese food.
Yeah, the go to. I used to host every week a slow food dinner on Sunday, and everybody would just bring anything. We would put it on the table, and we would try to make something. But we started getting bored because we'd always make stir fry, soup, or stew. And once, it doesn't matter what the ingredients are. If you keep mixing it together, it ends up tasting almost the same with just different sauces.
That's exactly what we tried to do on Friday, except none of the couch surfers wanted to do the work of cooking anything. They just started to eat the ingredients raw, the chips, the cheese, the
Lazy.
wine.
The chips, the cheese, the wine. That's
Yeah,
not.
that was all that went. So all the vegetables, all the broth is what I'm eating for leftovers
There you go.
because no one, they just grabbed and ate it. That's it.
Yeah.
Fred was there. He'll tell you.
Just like,
No one was cooking. 2 pots empty.
Yep.
It was just
if
the
I was
one
there, I would definitely be cooking. I just
2 hot
all
pots.
that.
empty. They sat empty the whole night.
Well, that's
Like,
because
they
everybody was so excited they made food and brought it, right?
Well, they were excited
No.
to meet each other because these are people that been hanging out for a year online and the first time they ever met in person.
Yeah, just like.
And all they had to do was take the ingredients, put in the pot, wait 2 minutes.
Why are
and then
you
take it
saying
out and eat.
they? Are you incapable of cooking?
Well, I
Oh,
ate
you were the host.
leftovers.
You were too busy
Yeah.
hosting the party. I
No, the
understand.
host eats leftovers for a whole week. So I
That's
started at the
no.
party like, no, I ate the
So-
leftovers. No, this guy Massaro.
So
put
if
in a
there
bunch
is
of tofu,
something
didn't eat
you
it, so I ate it.
dream that you could cook or have, what would it be? That's for everybody. If you showed up at a dinner party and this food was there,
For me, rack of lamb.
rack of lamb. Now, how big? Like, I've never seen a rack of lamb. I don't think. I always thought it was like a shoulder.
It's actually ribs. It's kind of like,
Oh,
It's
ribs.
kind of like a prime rib, but it's from a lamb, so it's small. So
Got
it's
it.
basically, it's like a little fillet with a rib attached to it.
Okay.
And then they circle it around and make a little crown. And sometimes you see they put little covers over the,
So you
bones
you
that
take
stick
the
out.
rib and they get the rib and they make it like a crown.
yeah,
That is
Do they what?
plain-
Put mashed potatoes in the middle?
No.
I guess you can, but I mean, that's one way they, in a fancy restaurant, if you see it like that, and quite often they put little booty things made out of paper over the ends of the bones to kind of
Skinny
decorate
stuff,
them.
yeah.
Plus, sometimes the bones get a little burned. So that covers up the ends of the bones too. That kind of gives a little flair to it.
I
in a
think they
real
just
fancy
forgot to take
place.
the little aluminum foil off the bone tips when they served it to
That's
you.
what I put on them. Yeah, exactly. So they don't burn.
So
And that's why they
lamb,
charge you $50 when you have that.
I got this new book, the Arabesque Table, and
Wow.
I want to cook the lamb in it. It's like
Great.
I think
Yeah,
that's the lady is from Iran that wrote this book, I think.
And my favorite dessert is tiramisu.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, I love it.
And the reason is every time you have it, it's different.
Mhm.
You know,
I thought that
everybody
was the
makes it
whole
different.
American thing. You want to always get the same homogeneous food every time you go
Well, that's
somewhere.
well, that's true. And by tiramisu, you don't get that. Every time you have it, it's different. Same kind of ingredients, but different combinations, just people make it differently.
I've literally made tiramisu from scratch once,
Yeah,
and that was making the lady fingers also.
there you go. Lady fingers,
Oh.
coffee, chocolate.
I mean,
Those
you
are
have to make the
good
little
to make
breads
the lady
first.
fingers.
Otherwise, you buy lady fingers and it's whipped cream, fresh coffee, and you put it together.
Mascarpone, mascarpone
ma-
cheese.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mascarpone cheese, and sometimes
Well-
people buy a shortcake even rather than lady
And
fingers.
I
So
will, when I made it from scratch, I made the mascarpone.
Oh my God, you made the
I
lady
actually,
fingers.
right now, I just made a fresh batch of cheese.
That's why you only made it once. It took too much time
It took about
Exactly.
3 hours, yeah.
to
Wow.
make the cheese and the lady fingers
Well,
too.
the
That's a
cheese
long
takes
time.
20 minutes.
Mm,
Just the fresh cheese.
mhm.
So I decided I wanted to see how old I could allow milk to go
Mhm.
before I made cheese with it. And I literally, it said use by April 27th. And today I opened it up. It was puffed out gallon of milk.
Oh. So
And I opened it up and it wasn't rotten. It just smelled sour. And I just made that gallon of milk I made into a pound of cheese.
Jeez.
even though you would swear you would like, I didn't even have the guts to like taste the milk because
Yeah.
it smelled so sour.
Farmer's
Mhm.
cheese. Farmer's
And
cheese.
so usually I don't wait that long, but this time I was just, let me see how long I can wait.
Oh, did you put
And it's
acid in
fresh
it?
right now. You want to see it?
You put acid in it or vinegar, or what did you do for separation?
Yeah, you put either lemon or vinegar in it, but in this case, it was so sour.
You didn't need it.
I put it in the
Didn't need
lowest
it.
setting and I set the timer for 25 minutes. I went back and it was already starting to curd. And I just got a tablespoon of vinegar and started sprinkling it.
Mhm,
And that's all it needed was a tablespoon of vinegar and it curded up. And then
mhm.
I took it and put it in a colander. And of course, like I tasted the fresh cheese and it tasted a little sour because of the vinegar. And probably a little sour because the milk was really
Sour
old.
milk. Yeah.
And so then I just mixed dried Italian herbs in it. So while it was still hot, I just mixed
Mm,
those herbs in it and I
What?
put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
Good.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the
Farmer's,
author of that book you showed us?
The arabesque table.
but the
Oh, the-
author's name.
Oh, Rem Cassis.
Cassis
Um,
is a drink. There's a champagne with cassis.
Must be a little
See if it
write-up on
says
the author
information
someplace.
about
Look on
her.
the back of the book. Maybe sometimes there's a little plug on the back.
So it literally starts. My father's two favorite dishes are har sharish, a stew of wheat with lamb and chicken, and kabub nayin, a lamb and bulgur tartar. But from what I understand of this book, they found recipes that were like 1,000 years old, and she like took them
Revived.
and made them modern.
Mhm.
The problem with it was the recipes 1,000 years old were all the recipes the kings. So it was all like wild, crazy recipes.
Mhm.
And so, to make them that
That the regular people didn't eat.
it's just like,
The regular
so-
people were just eating bread.
but some of them aren't that way. I mean, a lot of them are very simple. Like I just opened and it's just allspice chicken and potatoes with garlic and green chili. So. But I haven't started cooking in it. But I don't really use cookbooks. Cookbooks for me are like inspiration. It makes me think. I will try something, but I usually don't have all the ingredients.
Can you see this?
I think it says Indian.
Yeah, so I'm like you, Laura, I don't collect cookbooks, but I have friends that do. And this one, I actually went to a spa in Tecate, Mexico. And there's a woman there, she's Indian, but she lives in Texas. And she wrote this book and she was doing a Indian cooking class there that I attended, and that's when I bought the book. And it's 350 recipes from the regions of India, because as you can imagine, India's got all kinds of different regions. So and I never had cooked Indian, so I thought, well, this will give me a start. And it's very good because it starts out in the beginning and talks about all the different ingredients they use, what they're from, where they're from and what dishes go with what. So it really is an introduction to Indian cooking. And of course, around where I live, not too far from me, there's a little India where you can go and buy all those ingredients that you might not find in a regular store. So I've got a few page markers here because I've done some of the recipes. So
Nice.
Talked amongst yourselves. My timer just went off.
What's
Well-
this timer for?
I don't know what he's cooking.
how about Mo? Well, you haven't showed us your
Well, I
recipes
didn't
or
really-
talked
Yes.
about
I
them.
cooked some pork chops today because I forgot that I had them in the meat drawer. They were, they said best before June 18th, But today's the 22nd, and I just had one. It tasted fine.
How did you cook them?
Oh, with some apples and onions, yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's nice.
But if I was going to a potluck, I would probably take Spanakopita. I like making that, and I
Ooh,
like I like going somewhere where it's uh, available. Somebody's brought some, and it's pretty easy to make. I never know exactly how many eggs I'm going to use, but
It's got
you
like
know,
spinach and phyllo dough and stuff like
you
that in
buy
it.
the frozen phyllo
and
dough. It's
and
easy. I
feta
can't
cheese or
imagine
white
actually
cheese. Yeah,
making the phyllo dough. I've
yeah.
seen pictures of
That's a big
women
project.
stretching the dough out over the surface of the table and all that.
Yeah.
No, I buy frozen and feta and dill and onions and eggs and spinach.
Mm,
So if
Yeah.
you make
yum.
spanakopita, have you ever tried to make baklava?
I think I did it once. Yeah.
Because in
Mhm.
my mind, it's similar except sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
using
Well,
honey and
that would be
nuts.
pretty expensive to buy all those walnuts because walnuts don't grow here. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it matters where you, I mean, I grew up, we ate it with pistachios.
Oh.
And then
Which are also expensive unless you have.
other people do almonds, and I've seen,
Mhm.
you know, cashews. It just
Mhm.
matters.
California is big almond country. We grow something like 80% of the almonds in the
There you
United
go.
States are grown in
So
California.
if when Fred comes to the potluck and he brings baklava, he's going to have almonds in his.
That's right.
He's like,
Yeah.
that's right. I'm totally going to make baklava.
Yeah, I remember
No,
when
I'm
I was
totally gonna bring almonds. I don't know about the baklava part.
when I was 19, I went to New Zealand to work on an orchard on a agricultural exchange, and so there were a lot of different things that could grow there that didn't grow where I'm from in Canada. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table with a hammer and breaking up the walnuts because they were everywhere on the it was an orchard with nectarines and peaches and apples, and they
Mm.
also had some walnut trees, and we ate mutton every day. Cold mutton, hot mutton, cold mutton. Like we hardly ever had anything.
So what do they say? Are you muttering about eating mutton?
I'm
Mutton,
muttering.
mutton, 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 mutton.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you acquire a taste for it or not?
Well, I do like lamb, and it was okay. I was so tired of it.
Can be game. It
I
can
liked
be
I
gamey.
liked the day when we had the roast mutton better than the cold mutton, that's for sure. You could see how much fat there was in it.
Uh-huh.
And on the days that we had roast mutton, we had roast potatoes, and I had to make gravy. And then the next day we'd have cold mutton, and I had to boil potatoes and some other vegetable
And the gravy was from the fat from the mutton.
and make white sauce. So the lady was so organized. She was the head nurse at the hospital that was next door to the orchard, and then she married the head of the owner of the orchard, and she would organize the kitchen like an operating room when he came into she always let him carve the mutton, and then she would put the potatoes on, and I would put the vegetables on. And then when everything was on the table and getting cold, I could go and call the pickers to come in and eat.
Did you have a triangle like you see in the cowboy movies where you go ding, 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 ding to call people?
No, I just yelled, dinner! Yeah. And I had to make a lot of scones at that job. They always served scones when they had
Ooh,
in
can
the
you teach me
morning.
how to make scones, or you're tired of making them?
I haven't made scones very many times since I quit. That job was when I was 19, and now I'm 65. So what is that, 46 years ago?
I don't know. Do you want to go back in memory and try to make some? That is something I've always wanted to try to make.
Mm, well, it isn't too hard. I need
Well,
a
for
pastry
you,
cutter. I used to use 2 knives to cut the butter in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, Spanakopita
I mean,
and tiramisu, that would be great if you went to a potluck. Those things I think would disappear
I think
pretty
so.
quickly.
yeah, I mean, the reason why I do the weekly cooking together show is I live in a college town, and I started doing it weekly, and we would cook together, and people would come, and we'd cook together and we'd eat together, and it would be, dozens of people every week would come. And I
You're
just got
lucky you had
addicted
more
to
energetic
learning.
cooks than Howard did.
Yeah.
He had people that actually would get in the kitchen and chop
Well,
things
we
and
had
cook
the
things.
rule, if you ate, you had to participate.
Mm.
It wasn't a free meal. It was because we live in a college town, there's a lot of free meals. And so people would
Really?
show up, just say, hey, I want free food. And we're like, no, this is a slow food dinner.
Mm.
So you've heard of that concept, which means we cook together, we laugh together,
scratch.
we eat together, and guess what? We clean together too.
That's good. You got people to stay for the cleaning part.
And it was just, we'd had regulars, and for me, reading a recipe has no spirit. And when I cook with somebody, my favorite people are the people who say, I don't know how much I put in there. I just put a little of this and a little of that, because that's true cooking. Because if you got the exact same ingredients and cooked at exact same amount, it's going to be different
Mhm.
at different times of the year. Tomatoes have different moisture levels, different flavor
Yep.
levels. Luckily,
Mhm.
ingredients do change taste,
Yep.
and therefore you have to change the levels.
Yep.
And for me, that's a true cook.
Yeah,
A
my
true
dad,
cook.
I grew up in the restaurant business, and my father had several restaurants over the years, and yeah, he never measured anything, and he cooked for years and years, and he could. I've told this story before. We used to, at the restaurant, we used to have soup every day, and I think clam chowder on Fridays. But on Saturdays, he would take all the leftover soups of the week and put them in a pot and put a lot of pepper in it and call it pepper pot soup. And people just loved that soup, and they were always asking for the recipe. Oh, it's an old family secret. I can't get it.
Just like leftover soup.
Oh, but I can't imagine that. What if one day you had beef and one day you had fish and
Well, he didn't put the clam chowder in there, so he only had fish on Friday, so he wouldn't put that one in, but the other 4 days he'd put those and mix them all together.
Just leftover. Well, we used to do leftover patties. Basically, you'd first, mom would do what you were talking about, put all the leftovers in the pot, and then you'd add water to it and maybe some seasonings, and that would be like one meal. And then if there was any left over from that, she'd mix with flour, and we'd make burgers. Nowadays they call them veggie burgers, but we call them leftover patties. And then when we had lots of leftovers, then you would bake it on like a cookie sheet, basically a thin bread, and then you'd cut it. So it'd be less work, then you don't have to pat out the patties. And so
Yeah, just a tray, like a sheet tray.
yeah, I have a really hard time buying, like, spending $3 or $4 for one of those veggie burgers. To me, they're just, again, leftover patties.
Exactly.
Some of them,
A
like,
little binder to hold it
if you
together.
read the ingredients list, it's just a bunch of chopped up veggies, beans and rice, and
flour.
some soy protein.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, I grew up eating those.
And too much salt.
Just
yeah,
like,
some of them.
Howard, if you're speaking, we don't hear you at all.
Sorry, you should have come on Friday. It was a ton of that veggie stuff, fake stuff. Fred skipped over all of that.
Yeah.
Fake
Just
beef,
like,
fake pork, fake sausage, fake bacon. It's all like soy stuff.
There were a
And
lot
the
of
I
heat-
really
a lot of
enjoy-
vegans, a lot of vegans were there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I actually enjoy that stuff. I just don't like when you get something and compare it directly to a meat version.
Yeah.
Like, you've heard tofurkey.
yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, but it's nothing like turkey.
Yeah.
Turkey is one thing, and but gluten roast doesn't sound very good.
That's right. No, I
It's missing
agree.
the
I think a lot of vegetarian dishes can just stand on their own. They don't
Oh,
have to
they're
be,
fun. I agree.
yeah, you don't have to call them some meat related thing. You can just make it, you know?
So,
well, I hope you get a chance to try those Impossible burgers at some point. They have the extra ingredient of beet that there's one beet that has blood inside of it. It's like, oh, and they just put it into this Impossible burger.
Impossible burger.
Yeah,
has-
This is a
Were you talking about beets
yes,
or meat?
it has beets.
But beets
It-
don't have blood.
There's
Well, there's-
one variety that has a tiny bit, and they put a ton of this inside.
Well, it's
and
got
there's a
it's red
vegan
like
deli, I
blood
think
is.
in Chicago, that they make burgers and they use the juice from the beet to make it so when you like cut into the burger, it
Like a
looks like
rare,
blood.
looks like blood, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I'm kind of opposed to that in general. I've never really tried one of those because it's still all manufactured as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
Well, I don't
I
know.
d-
Until I
hate
try
to
it, I'm
see-
not gonna
I'd
diss
hate to
it.
see that ingredient list. You can trust that there's a lot of chemicals and stuff in there making that thing happen.
Oh, no. I
It's
mean,
called heme, and it's soy heme. So
what?
rare instances, plants can make proteins that are found in people, which is why a lot of drugs work. Aspirin works, caffeine works, because stuff from plants are interacting with animals. And there's very few rare varieties that can make this leguine hemoglobin. And it's blood.
Plant-based protein,
Yeah, they can
lentil
make-
penne,
yes.
Penne,
And
like
they
So it's
can make
pasta.
a
the
type of,
Italian penne.
pasta made from red lentil flour, white rice, and pea protein.
Yeah.
and there's this one plant that
So-
can make blood also.
Here I
and
thought I
it's-
was
Mm.
not eating pasta. I convinced like I'm gluten sensitive until I tried this stuff. Oh man, this is good.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
lived in Italy for a while, so I recommend you do not say penne. Penne. Pasta
Penne.
penne.
Because
Yeah,
Accent on the first
you know, the
syllable.
one-
it could be part of the body that you're a man's body that you're pronouncing wrong in Italian.
yeah, if you say the other one, it means that. So
Oh,
I
dear,
Oh.
I better learn
Yeah.
So
if
accent
you
on the
look for-
first syllable.
penne.
Yeah.
How do you
exactly.
pronounce it correctly?
Penne.
Penne, with attitude. Just like any Italian word, with
Have to stress,
attitude.
but-
Penne.
exactly.
All right.
or thank you very much. I have to go.
Otherwise, it's
running.
just a limp noodle.
It's good to see you all.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
But
Hi, Howard.
Personally, I'm not a vegetarian. I probably eat vegetarian two days a week. But
Why do you say that? You say that with like a face. You're like 2 days a week.
well,
I'm just-
but I mean, you guys are all talking about all these vegetarian, vegan recipes, and I just like having a steak every once in a while. I know it's not ecological for the planet to eat beef, but I don't know. Or if you grew up being vegan, didn't you sort of rebel and eat? Well, you do eat meat, don't you?
Oh yeah, I eat.
Mhm.
I am now an opportunivore.
What?
When I
If you
have the
go some-
opportunity to try something, I do.
Oh.
Seafood. When he sees it, he eats it.
Mm.
Yeah. But I ate my first steak that I remember in 2014.
Oh.
And that was before
Wow.
I went to Brazil. I was going to Brazil for a month and staying with people. So
Ooh, look at this.
I could eat vegetables now. I mean, fruits.
That
that?
was what I was trying to advertise.
I don't know.
exactly.
You're not supposed to eat anything with a face if you're vegan. That has a face.
Yeah. It's like a
Kiwis and strawberries.
And bananas.
Look at the one on the side. You have a handle on it.
Mhm,
Yes,
beautiful
that
handle.
that looks like a basket. So this one looks like a baby carrier. No, yeah, baby carrier, and that's the baby inside it with a. I don't know the name of the thing that the babies suckle on it.
That looks
A
like,
soother.
oh, well,
Looks like the top of a strawberry.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the fruit is a strawberry, but the word for that item that babies have.
That's a
what's it?
soother.
Oh, yeah, a
Soother,
pacifier.
yes.
Pacifier. in
Pacifier.
English. Yeah,
Mm.
that's what it
Pacifier. So yes, I remember now. Thank you. So yeah, this one that's for advertising that you can get
is. Very
veggie
nice.
food, and it's also
Very
delicious.
nice.
Mm.
Well, let me see. I got a breakfast.
Did you make
breakfast
that?
photo. I've got a breakfast
I-
photo here someplace. Let's see if I can.
my thing is I can cook. Oh, I got something between my teeth. Blueberry skin. Still there? No. I am very good at cooking a lot of food that tastes well and nutritious, but I have a hard time making it look nice. I figured if people are hungry, they'll eat it, but
Mhm.
I have a hard time making
You
it
will
look very
make a
nice.
combination. I love decorating food. I put I put a lot of effort in making it look beautiful. I do not put that much effort on making it. I mean, it's good, but it's very important for me to make it look very nice. So you have to cook the food. I have to decorate it, and then it would be.
Oh yeah,
perfect.
Ooh.
So this is one of my breakfast creations.
Oh,
And this is basically underneath this is a
egg.
well, it's eggs, but it's underneath this is a sprouted wheat bread that's got avocado on it. So it's like avocado toast.
Nice.
Then the 2 eggs over the top, mushrooms, basil, heirloom tomatoes, and chimichurri.
Oh,
how do you make your
chimichurri.
chimichurri?
Yeah, it's just basically I use half and half, kind of like parsley and cilantro and a little olive oil and peppers and
Perfect.
not very much to it, but it's very tasty. So that's one of my, I make
I mean,
variations of this.
It's basically a
sometimes.
fresh pesto, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a
But
pesto.
pesto
but
is
there's-
basil, right?
Ah,
And
yeah,
chimichurri
Yeah,
is
this is
parsley.
basil base and has nuts, pine nuts in it. So this, in that sense, it's not like that. Doesn't have. It
I
doesn't
guess
have
I
the
always
pine-
made pesto wrong. When I have lots of any type of green herbs, I will blend it with water
Right.
or oil and then
Well-
put it in ice cubes and freeze it for,
You can do that, but pesto kind of by definition has pine nuts in it.
got it.
You can and Parmesan cheese in pesto too, I
Oh,
think.
yeah, that's true.
That's
That's
some good
also
one.
required in a.
And or you can make some from that what is it? Wild sorrel. that
Oh, yeah.
you could make some of
Or
your
from
pesto.
kale, from kale. I've seen.
Well, I don't
kale
have very
pesto.
much wild sorrel,
Mm.
but I like using the wild sorrel because it's very, very lemony.
Mm.
Mhm.
So you can put just if you don't have lemons and you want to eat local, you use sumac berries, which is where pink lemonade came from, because that was the old timey lemon,
Mm-hmm.
and the sorrel in a salad.
Mm.
This was something else I got recently was black bean spaghetti, and it's actually soy spaghetti.
Mm.
And like I try to go gluten-free, but most of the gluten-free stuff is mushy. But this right here had a really nice texture. So So what are your favorite drinks?
Drinks.
Mm.
For me,
I
like
cucumber
Chardonnay.
water this time of the year when it's hot. But
Chardonnay is my favorite drink.
What?
Gin and tonic.
And for spirits, margarita.
Margaritas are nice. Yeah.
Homemade, I don't use any of that bottled stuff that's full of sugar and all that. I use the actual ingredients. When I lived in Mexico, we had a lime tree right out the kitchen door and we could just go out and get a fresh lime to.
oh, I loved when I lived down in the Caribbean. I had a curry tree right outside my door and a kefir lime tree. And what
Yeah,
else?
that's nice.
So I could go for a walk and pick herbs in the neighborhood. Actually, my favorite is when I lived in Israel, while I visited. They have orange trees as decoration. So I knocked on the neighbor and said, "Can I have some oranges off your tree?" And they're like, "Oh yeah." They just let them fall off the tree and rot because they're just a decoration. They're like, "We don't eat oranges. We eat what's the small ones that are super sweet,
Mandarins.
Mandarins,
or tangerines or mandarins."
tangerines.
Yeah, so that's what they would eat. Oranges were like, "No, you don't eat those. Those are." So it's,
We
Interesting.
feed those to the pigs or something.
but the wild birds would come and eat them. But
Mm. I'd love to live in a country where papayas grow and mangoes. Spent some time in Guatemala and the Bay Islands of Honduras and Mexico, and wow, I just loved being able to eat mangoes because here you buy them, they're about
Not true.
$2.50 for one mango, and then you might get it home and cut into it, and it's not good. Yeah.
or they definitely picked it when it was not ripe and then
Mhm.
ship it the whole way. And
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's lots of tropical fruits that never get exported because they just don't hold up under, they just never
Mhm.
ship them because they won't make it. So
Yeah.
as most of, there's lots of,
I used to
Yeah.
buy when I was in Costa Rica, I think it was guanabana drink. I think
Yeah.
that's a fruit.
Yeah, that's also good. The red one.
guanaba, yeah,
Guayaba is one, and the drink
guayaba.
was called guanabana. Maybe that was a made-up name for the drink. But
yeah, because they have guava, could be guava and
My
bananas or
favorite
something.
was in Brazil was I always forget how you pronounce it. It's passion fruit.
hmm
So you could they would just make passion fruit water. So it would just be like cucumber water. So it would just be flavored, or you get the popsicles that were passion fruit. So
Yeah, that's real big in Latin America too, paletas. So they make this little, popsicle kind of things with all the local fruits and stuff. Those are really yummy.
In
Yeah.
New Zealand and Australia, they make pavlova desserts which are meringues covered with whipped cream and then kind of a passion fruit compote on top. Oh, it's good.
It's funny
I
because I
tried-
never knew what a pavlova was. And then I don't know whether I read about it or I was on a cruise ship and it said, yeah, dessert is a pavlova or something like that.
So when
Oh,
you
that's
say
what a
meringue,
pavlova
are you
is.
talking about the soft one, or are you talking about the egg where the
Well, you make the
what-
meringue with egg whites and
where it's like the toasted little egg circles? What are they called?
well, no, I only made it once, but I think it's basically egg whites. I can't remember if egg
But it's
yolks are in
cooked,
it,
it's put in the
and
oven or something
sugar,
briefly, right?
and it's whipped up and then cooked in the oven.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So usually you have two circles and then they put like a cream in between the two as a sandwich.
Well, those are
Those
like
are the
little macaroons you're thinking of,
Macaroons
Macarons.
but
That's what
that
I
like a
was mixing up.
pavlova,
Meringue and
a
macaroon.
pavlova, they would make enough egg whites to make a large circle on, like a pie plate size of the meringue on a kind of cookie sheet or parchment paper and cook it in the oven. so that you're cutting into that to share it, to divide it up between people. Yeah. Not the little
Yeah, I
one.
tried. That was my, stuck at home COVID thing, was to try to make macaroons
Oh.
because I love those. And I made them taste good, but again, I could never make them look good.
Hmm.
I had no problem making them because I got to eat all the mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, but I never got them. And I think I just needed the proper like pastry thing to plop the little
Maybe.
perfect circle on there, and I just never did.
I've never tried
So,
to make macarons.
yeah.
They're very
I
good
looked
for
up-
gluten-free dessert.
Yeah.
For
That's
Yeah, so
you,
I looked
yeah.
up pavlova, so here's some varieties in case we aren't
So let's
familiar
see,
with it.
Ingeborg, what's your favorite drink? Oh,
Oh boy, that looks good.
so that looks like just a giant macaroon, basically.
Yeah,
Is it?
you make
Yeah.
it the size of a cake or the size of a pie.
But
Now, this one
but is
says,
it crunchy?
Crunchy on the outside,
Okay.
Yeah.
soft in the inside.
This says 4 large free-range egg whites, and then sugar, vanilla, a little corn flour, and a bunch of double cream.
Mhm. That's
Let's
good.
see. Yum. So let's see. Who wants to share? Lulu's here. What's your
Well, I
favorite
guess we
drink
didn't
or
really
food?
finish with about the favorite drink
Oh
with
yeah.
everyone.
Well, everybody went right to, you guys all went right to alcohol. And I was just like, mine is like I really like ginger beer. And so but the problem is I never know when I'm ordering a ginger beer, am I getting the alcoholic version or the soda version? When I order ginger beer. And so I just started ordering it with rum anyway. So just like you'd always get it. But I'm trying to think. I think the English version is alcoholic, and most of the rest of the world is not.
Ooh.
But when you buy it in the can or the bottle.
Mhm. Well, I think from Jamaica there's alcoholic version because I used to work at a folk club and sell sell the beer, and the ginger beer I think had like the same alcohol content as beer, but I don't know.
Okay.
Mhm. They
That's
would only buy like 2 cases and that would disappear quickly.
Speaking of ginger beer, I was thinking of a drink we used to have in Jamaica called Steel Bottom, which was you would pour rum in a beer mug, and then you would slowly pour Red Stripe beer into the mug, trying not to separate it. So they would kind of form a layer there. There was a rum and then the beer on top of it.
trying to keep them separated. Yeah.
Yeah. And they call that a steel bottom drink.
Okay.
Mm.
Popular. Rum and beer.
Yeah.
Hello, Lulu.
We're talking about our
You're
favorite
muted.
foods and our favorite. Well, we got into drinks now, and so far it's been the alcoholic version. Just like I'm still trying to eat my lunch. I got blueberries.
So weren't we supposed to dress up?
I put on a shirt.
I
Okay.
put on a shirt.
You guys, that's not fair. Where's your makeup?
Oh well,
My beard.
I think
Doesn't
Zoom
go
has it
well
where you
with-
can put makeup
Hard to
on.
put makeup on your beard.
There you have it.
Ingeborg, she's got a scarf on, so she's all dressed up.
It's like
Yeah.
We can dress up with what do they call it down here on stop video?
oh yeah, you can add
Oh, yeah, with your virtual background. I mean, yeah, studio, you can add stuff there. It's called choose
See, I've got a
video
party
filter.
hat now.
Yeah, choose video filter, so. Studio effects, they call it, one of them. So you could change your lip color. Like if I want to put on a little lipstick.
Oh, there we go. You've got,
So I put on lipstick because it's a dress up. How's that?
now I want to see you with eyeliner.
It's just like,
Let's see.
Oh,
what
there
we
you
got.
go, beret.
so
Uh.
food. Have you ever froze blueberries? Like I love, when they're in season, I'll freeze them. And then most people freeze them and then put them in smoothies and stuff. I just like them. And I'll just for me, it's like a little pop of like, I don't know,
Candy.
ice cream, heaven, joy. It's just like, especially in the middle of winter.
Mhm.
It's
Do you
just-
freeze them individually?
would you-
Do you freeze
Ingeborg,
them do you freeze them individually, quick freezing first, separately? That's what I do. I usually separately freeze them and then I can use them whenever I want to.
You mean like on a tray so they don't clump all
Yeah.
together?
Well, I quick freeze them and then put them in a bag,
Mhm.
Most
what
of
I
them.
do is I put them in a big freezer bag, but make sure they're just all in like one layer.
What I do is I buy them frozen at Costco and they're already, I've done that and you just pour them out of the
Yeah,
bag.
but they're not the good local ones that I picked at the farm down the road.
That's true, except I don't.
I
have
just
any
became a
local
food
ones.
snob there, didn't I?
Yeah, I don't, yeah, I don't have any down the road for me unless I.
Wait, you're in
Where-
California. Everything's
yeah,
down the road from you.
I go to Whole Foods, I can get.
It's
get
just
them.
like, so
Like you
Lulu,
say, I
what's
got
your
a
favorite
delivery
drink?
from Whole Foods today and from Costco, all within like an hour of each other, and I was busy putting away the food as you came online.
Are you complaining that you got a bunch of food?
No, it's my hobby, so I gotta.
Yeah.
Have all the proper tools for cooking.
Yeah, Yalda shared with us a carrot dessert with saffron that
Yeah.
It
show us
sounds
that
r-
again. Let Lulu
looked-
see that.
it looked and sounded pretty simple to make, except, you have to get
You-
saffron.
Great presentation.
I have saffron, so I can make this. Is she gonna go on our cooking show? Well, your.
Yeah, we should every
Maybe she'll
Saturday.
show
Yeah.
it. Can y'all just show us that again?
The picture, sure.
Just
The
like-
carrot- I
Just
call it
keep
the
teasing us with it.
Carrot cake, I'll call it. I don't know what it's actually called.
Wow.
Look at that, Lulu.
So
Wow.
she said the center is sliced almonds and around the edge are edible roses and then pistachio.
And that is a carrot cake?
That's just carrots.
Oh, just
Yeah.
Carrots with a little roux to kind of hold it together.
Little flour to thicken it.
Yeah.
oh, that sounds delicious.
Doesn't that look
And
good?
what'd
With
she say?
sugar. There's sugar
Rose-
added too.
Rose
Sugar.
water and
Yeah.
saffron.
And
I love
sugar.
rose
It's got
water.
Sugar.
So Lulu's ready. She has saffron and rose water already.
I don't have any
Oh.
carrots though.
You don't have any carrots.
I used the last of my carrots.
Oh, first world problem. I've got all the fancy stuff, but none of the basic
Well,
stuff.
if you're gonna make a carrot dish, you gotta have the carrots, I think. Unless we're really good at substituting, I could.
You
Use
got you got sweet potato?
You could
don't
use sweet
have
potato. You could
potato.
use apples.
No, this says
have
no sweet, you
apples.
can't have use sweet potatoes. Then it becomes a sweet potato pie, which is a southern dish.
Have you
US
have you
southern
ever
dish.
seen what an actual yam looks like? In the US, they always call everything yams.
Yep.
I mean, a yam is like the
It's
size
like
of
this
like
big.
a horse. Yeah, I mean, it's like
Yeah,
this big around and like
it could never be confused with the sweet potato.
I watched that on that show you recommended, Fred. That's where I saw it. I was
That's
like,
where I saw it too. Yeah, they had truckloads of them, but it looked like a log.
Well,
Yep.
recently I went to a food show Sayuri showed in Brazil, and she went down the market and she was showing, and she showed what, cassava? And I was like, that looks
Yeah.
like yam. And she's like, no, here's yam. And it was like very similar. Cassava was like this big around and like this long. And then the yam was like this big around and like half the height of a person.
Wow.
Yeah, and here when you go in the supermarket, the produce section, you say to the guy, do you have any yams? Oh yeah, they're right over here. And then over here, sweet potatoes, it's the same thing. They just put a yam sign for people who want yams.
I yam, man.
A yam,
The
what a
yams
yam.
Yams are pale yellow, right? And the sweet potatoes are orange. Have I got that
Well,
right?
they don't really
Orange
have
inside?
in the US, they don't really have yams. It's a tropical product. It's not
Oh.
even related to a
Yeah, it's
potato.
all sweet potatoes in the
Okay,
US.
but
all sweet
I see them
potatoes.
in the store.
Well,
I
they
mean,
put
they're
a
different
sign
than
on there
sweet
and says they're
potatoes.
yams. It's just a different color sweet potato. They're
Mm.
not yams.
Oh,
They just call them yams because somebody thought I don't know where that came from, but
mm.
they don't call it yam pie in the South. They call it.
So
sweet
I did
potato
a
pie.
search for yam and it says USDA nutrition for yam. And it's like description and it's sweet potatoes.
Oh.
So you know what Popeye says? He says, I am what I
Yam, what a
am.
yam. Exactly.
And that's a sweet potato.
So when I drove back from St. Louis, I stopped at Popeye statue and said hello. And 2 or 3 years ago, I left a can of Popeye spinach in between his legs on the statue, and it's still there.
No
No
way.
kidding. They
Just like
probably, they probably think it's
the
part of
label
the
is all
statue.
faded and all that, but unless someone else put a new one,
No.
I
think
I
it's
left
part
it
of
there as a
the-
joke.
Yeah,
And it's
they
still
probably
there.
think it's part of the statue.
Yeah, they probably do. But I'm just like, yeah.
How did they make this can of spinach out of bronze?
So it's a bronze statue and there's like a can of spinach sitting right next to him.
That's pretty cool. 3 years is a long time.
Oh, the
Yeah.
label is completely really faded. So
Okay.
Time to
Imagine.
replace it.
no, I'm not gonna. I'll probably get arrested for taking away the old one. They're like, no, that's part
Probably,
of the statue.
Yeah, probably.
You robber you.
So far, Lulu's did a really good job of joining the party and not talking anything about any for food or
Or showing
drink.
us any dishes or.
No,
photos.
I wasn't gonna have time cook. So I thought this was like a dress up dinner. We're all gonna eat fancy food that we made. So I made mine last night. And so let me show it to you.
Oh, I mean, I made fancy food. See, I ate it. She's got, here's my fancy food. It's gone. We should all just hold up an empty plate.
This is one of my all-time favorite dishes. And it's labor intensive but simple. And it doesn't look as good as when it first comes out of the oven. But it's my broccoli spinach pie is the name of it. And some people call it Spanakopita, but I don't think it's that.
Because we talked about Spanakopita earlier.
Yeah,
before
that's-
you were here.
So how is it different than the Spanakopita?
Well, tell me what Spanakopita
Well,
is.
does it have phyllo dough? Is it
Yeah.
done with phyllo
Does
dough?
it have
Is
feta
it done with
cheese,
feta
Yep.
cheese, eggs,
Yep.
onions, dill?
Yep.
onion?
Yep.
Sounds like Spanakopita to me.
Okay,
that's
so I got
Spanakopita.
it out of the Frugal Gourmet, you know, the old pervert Jeff Smith.
It's just,
Is
I
it a
don't know
pervert?
him at all. No,
All
not
right.
even a little
Well,
bit.
he was on public TV and he's a chaplain or was a Methodist minister or something. And he had a cooking show called The Frugal Gourmet.
I remember that.
Well, he got in trouble for molesting young boys. And so, you know,
Oh.
he was off the air. But I have his cookbook and it's a good cookbook. So I've been making that probably for 30 years out of that cookbook that I have.
Yes, several cookbooks. I have 3 of them.
Yeah, mine is I think just
What is
called
it called? Frugal Gourmet number 1 and 2,
let's
and then another one somewhere. Oops. Yeah, I haven't looked at it in a long time.
this is just the Frugal Gourmet. And I've used it so much that this is actually the cover
Yeah,
that,
right. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
that I stuck in there.
Is
But
there
it's
any-
real simple, other than, you know, the million layers of phyllo dough that you've got to put butter.
Yalda, thank you for coming and sharing. And if you include your information, I'll talk to you about coming on the Saturday cooking show. So
Okay.
the only
what-
problem is the time zone.
Ah,
And so the show starts Saturday night at 6 p.m. every Saturday. So it might be hard for you to come on that show.
I
So,
see. But
but-
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so what do you need as you asked for some information? What information?
Just your contact.
Your email
What you want to cook?
address.
What's the easiest? Oh, Fred is going, what do you want to cook? Like, let's get the ingredients list. Let's figure it out.
You can also
Our co-
write like a little heart and say I send a big heart to say you in Brazil. That's really good also to send.
Just like so Yuri, right now we're talking about our favorite food and our favorite drink. We're having dinner party. So
She's not going to
I
say
don't have a
fashwada.
favorite food. I don't think I have a favorite
you
food.
don't have a favorite food.
I mean, let me see. If I die in 1 hour, I would order a sukiyaki.
But
That's a
I think
Japanese-
sukiyaki takes longer than 1 hour to make.
If you're going to a potluck.
No, for
what
her
would-
last
What would
meal.
you take to a
for
potluck?
my last meal.
What's
Before you
sukiyaki?
die, your last meal. I want to come
It's
up with
because
a
sukiyaki
recipe
is
that
not
takes a
really
month
my-
to cook. So
But
I
it's
live a
it's
long-
because sukiyaki is not really the food that I mean, in my opinion, tastes the better. You know, like it's not really the taste, but it's just like what brings to me the sukiyaki. Because you know, sukiyaki, it's a meal that you know the whole family, it's around the table cooking together. So it reminds me my father, like every time that I went to my grandmother's Japanese house, she would cook the sukiyaki for us because it's a very difficult, it's very expensive actually, sukiyaki to eat in a restaurant. So she would
What
cook
is
for
it?
us. Huh?
Describe it.
It's
So you can share a
it's kind of a
picture.
stew with you know Japanese like the very thin spaghetti, very thin, like
Like rice
I think-
noodle.
Like ancient.
yeah, rice
Asia
noodle,
hair.
rice very
Rice
very
noodle.
thin. You put some lots of veggies, lots and lots.
An
And you
expensive
cook,
meat.
you cook
Expensive meat.
with sake and sugar. It's a little bit sweet. And the very traditional way to do it, you eat with rice and a raw egg. This is the part that usually
Raw
people from.
egg?
It's a raw egg. You just put the egg mix with them. You put you know the Japanese bowl. You got a Japanese bowl. You put the raw egg there. You mix the egg just like that, and then in the pot where the meat and the veggies are cooking, you get the meat and you dip in the egg and you eat.
Mm.
This is usually the part that's lots of people don't do. You know, but you know, Japanese, they eat raw eggs a lot. My father, when my mom left him with us, instead of him cooking or making something for us, he would just give to us rice and raw eggs and soya sauce. That's tamago. It's called tamago gohan. Tamago gohan. It's like tamago. It's egg in Japanese and gohan is rice. So tamago gohan. It's a very very. You know, like like every country, every society has an easy cooking thing that you don't know how to cook. You just do it. In the
And that's-
US, I don't know
that-
what is in the US. Peanut
I
butter
think
and jelly.
that's
Sounds like my
how
father, who
Yeah.
the only thing he knew how to make was opening up a can of pork and beans and heating it up on the stove.
Yeah, you see that? So
Yeah, so
I think in the US would be peanut butter and jelly.
my
Mm.
father's signature dish was lasagna, but I mean, he didn't really cook much, but that was like if he cooked, but it was not too often.
they
But
also describe it as Japanese hot pot style.
It's
So
very,
that's why
very good.
you're all sitting around the pot.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
didn't
the
know
exactly.
that,
commun,
Saffron.
that's the
Exactly.
communal part of it.
Exactly. Yeah. So sukiyaki reminds me, family, gathering together, cooking together. And it for us, it's a very, very, in my family, it would be a very special meal because that like the kids, we love it, so it's not very, it's but my mom doesn't know how to cook it. So we needed to go to grandma. We need to go to my Obachan's house, and we need to go to one restaurant. Like Salvador, it's a city with 3 million 3 million people, lots and lots of Japanese restaurants, and there is just one that cooks sukiyaki. And I'm just dying because since February of last year, they don't open. They just do delivery. So my aunt, the ex-wife of my uncle, we exchange message, from time to time. She's really afraid to see me because, I'm a COVID person. I go out every day. So people in my family think that I'm the COVID, the walking COVID itself, it's me. So some people in my family, they don't want to see me, whatever. So,
Well, no, I think you just scare them. You show up with a mask and they're like, who is this?
it's okay. I don't really mind that. I think I don't really, I don't
So
argue with people about that. If you want to think
All
that
right.
I'm a COVID person, I'm a
Favorite
COVID
food
person.
or drink?
So, and the drink, Fanta,
Nice.
the orange Fanta.
Any special? Oh,
But it
so
doesn't really match with the sukiyaki, right? So it should be a sake.
I'm bidding on an auction right now for 5 1-gallon jugs of raspberry Fanta syrup. It's like
Syrup.
I just
No,
came
but
from
I
a restaurant that
like-
closed.
I like the
Why do you
orange.
want
I like the
that?
orange Fanta.
I don't know. It's just it's like right now it's going for like 50 cents a bottle. So it's $2.50 for 5 gallons of syrup.
But try also to make a research. Some of the most amazing people in the world, they love Fanta.
Yeah. The most amazing people. So Lulu, share your, or did you put it
What do you
already
do?
back?
No, I
Spanakopita?
have to eat. I haven't eaten yet. This is my spanakopita, we decided, even though Jeff Smith calls it broccoli spinach pie. And it's layers of
Wait, so
filled
yours
with-
has broccoli in it though.
That's
Yeah,
why it's not
broccoli.
Spanakopita. 'cause it's got
Spanakopita doesn't
broccoli.
have
Doesn't
broccoli.
have broccoli.
Well, that's why he calls it broccoli spinach pie then. It's
Yeah,
broccoli,
yeah.
spinach, dill, onion. I didn't have chives because they looked really bad in the store. And then the egg, and then lots of butter.
How much?
No
How many
cheese?
eggs go in there?
Well, a feta. 2 eggs.
2 eggs. Okay.
Well, that's not
That's good.
much.
It's a simple dish. Like I said, it's just a little labor intensive as far as, and I had a couch surfer come last night. She came right in time and she slathered on the butter and I did the leaves of the phyllo dough.
Where
And
do you live, Lulu? Where do you live?
St. Louis, Missouri, or Missouri, as I like to say.
I might, well, I don't know.
It just like-
I need to change a little bit my mama's plan with her, but we were going to drive to New Orleans, but now I need to change because
I've only been to New Orleans one time. I was driving past and I stopped in to eat at a restaurant and that was it. I've never stayed there. I've always meant to.
you're
so-
a very unique person, because
Lulu.
he just live a few hours from Memphis, and in my opinion, Memphis is one of the most amazing cities in the US. I love Memphis. I just love
Really?
Memphis.
I think it's horrible.
I love Memphis.
I think it's
love-
horrible.
Hey, we're talking about food and
I
drink.
I mean,
the
just
food.
forget it.
I
They
love
have
the
good
food
barbecue in
there.
Memphis.
Mm.
So I
I love the
can
music.
tell you about the drink that I like, and I might have shared this with some of you before, but it's called a Bourbon Smash, and I think we were in
So that's
Kentucky.
caveman make drink, caveman bourbon smash.
Yeah, right. Now this is it's kind of like just lemonade with bourbon and a little bit of mint is muddled in it. So it's just simple syrup, bourbon, and at the end it's just a splash of soda. And it's really refreshing. And they go down real nice. It doesn't taste like alcohol at all. So
Just
Is
they're
that
real-
is that like a mint julep?
what is in a mint julep?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
No,
similar.
It's not a mint julep other than it's similar in that it has mint. I don't know the alcohol that's in mint julep. Is it bourbon?
Yeah, you can.
Probably.
Yeah, you have bourbon and or sweet and sour. Yeah.
So this is it's basically a sweet and sour, but I make it fresh. I use lemon and then simple syrup, which is sweet
Yeah,
and
so
sour.
a mint julep is bourbon, sugar, water, crushed ice, and fresh mint.
Mm.
So the only difference is at the end, you put some just bubbly water, soda on top of it.
Uh-huh.
So you don't put crushed ice in it though.
No, I
Okay.
put it on the rocks, and I make it. I stir it. I don't shake it. I stir it with ice and then pour it over. I should just make one. Do I?
Is it too early for you to make one?
Oh,
What you should do is
no, it's
freeze
3:30.
next time, freeze the simple syrup and the juice as cubes.
Good idea. Good idea. That is the way. That's how
And
I-
then you don't dilute it down when you're like your
That's
ice
easy.
cubes, or you have to, then you could drink it a lot slower.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. My best friend, one of my best friends in my hometown, she was an exchange student, very close to where you live. She was very close to St. Louis in Missouri.
What city?
It's a very small one. I have to get the letters that I used to write her. You know, I found a box full of old letters.
Nice.
I should just throw away, but it's just like I'm sentimental. It's like letters that I wrote when I was 15, 17
Oh,
years
they're
old.
like a diary. My dad gave me all my letters I ever gave him, and I've enjoyed reading them because, the information I gave him was filling them in on my life, and so
Yeah.
it was really good to
Yeah,
get.
I have here. It's on my room. It's in a box. I just found it in my brother's bedroom. I have no idea who else was there. But I also found a box full of porno movies.
Oh, I just got the email. I was just outbid on my Fanta raspberry syrup, 5 gallons. So I need to go back to my bid to see if I don't really need it. 5 gallons of Fanta raspberry
How much
syrup.
is 5 gallons?
Bad for your teeth, or
This right here is a half a gallon.
It's 20 liters.
If you get it, you will need a soda fountain, though. That would be kind of fun.
I think what it is those, what do they call them? The ice where they do the shaved ice and then they
No cones.
snow cone where
Snow
they put the
cone.
flavor on top. I think that's where it comes from.
you
But
could open a snow cone little on a bicycle thing going around town if you like with your
I just bid
raspberry
on
syrup.
these.
And somebody comes up and they say, I want strawberry. And you say, raspberry. I want peach, raspberry.
No, that usually happens when I travel in other countries. I've reached a point where when I'm in a small restaurant, I won't ask, they give you the menu and then they tell you they don't have everything. I just say, what's the best thing on special? And then that's what they have.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, where was I? I was in Mexico and my dad, we actually broke down near this restaurant. We got blew a tire and we decided while we waited, we'd go in the restaurant. And my dad started ordering things on the menu and they're like, no, we don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that. Finally, he ordered chicken. And I don't know, 15 minutes later, a boy walks in the front door holding a chicken. And he held it up to my dad and my dad was like, oh yeah, chicken. And then they walked out the back and you heard squawk, quack. And dad turned to me and he's like, I'm glad I didn't order a hamburger. Just like, I was just like, phew. But it was good chicken, but super fresh.
So my dad and I were in Baja, California many years ago, camping, and we go to this little white spot in the road, and there's a little shack there. And we walk in there and there's this young girl is in there and it's kind of like, to say a grocery, there's just a little counter, a couple of shelves with 2 or 3 cans. And on the counter, there's some cheese with kind of like a cheesecloth over it. And my dad points at it, and he says, moo or ba. And she starts laughing. She says, moo. So we got some of the cheese.
So how's your broccoli spinach? Well, we shouldn't distract. She didn't have a chance to eat. I asked her after her first bite. That's
Okay,
rude.
so what is everyone's favorite food?
This is really high on my list. It's I have a tendency to over make things when I like something and then I never want to eat it again because I make it too much.
Yeah.
And I've really worked hard not to make this very often because it's really rich actually. But it's delicious. It's much better the first night because the dough is real crispy and flaky. So now it's just soft and soggy but still delicious. But I
Yeah,
knew I wasn't gonna have, I had to work. That's why I was an hour late. So
I found that with when I'm making that similar dish and I know it's gonna set a day or a couple days, what I'll do is I'll put thin layers of potatoes on the very bottom.
huh.
And so that you'll end up with like, you know, a cooked potato level and you expect that to be slightly mushy.
Mm.
And then you know, and then your crispiness is just, you know, the top layer.
My couch surfer said I could put it in an air fryer to warm it up and it would crisp right up. But I don't have
Just like-
one.
Otherwise, a toaster oven, or you can just fry it. Just like then you have some more, put some butter in a pan and then just fry it.
More
and it'll
butter.
get fried.
That's what it needs. More butter. So
Everything.
each layer,
Don't say butter to all because I remember him doing the brigadeiro, the amount of butter that he put there.
Just like,
Brazilian sweet. He is a
I mean,
butter man.
brigadeiro is just butter, cocoa powder, and more butter,
But
right?
It's just a little butter. It's
Just a
just
little
to.
butter.
it's-
Once I
it's
open a
not-
stick of butter, the whole stick of butter has to be used. That's the rule of butter.
Oh, you can't leave it in your fridge for days?
No, because butter
Of course you
absorbs
can.
whatever flavors, smells are in the fridge.
That's
Not if
why
you
it has
wrap your
wrapping and
food
why you
up.
have a little compartment to put it in.
my
You
refrigerator
put
doesn't
your,
smell. I'm
baking
sorry.
soda in the fridge to
I
absorb
know.
the odors.
In the old days, we never put butter in the fridge. It was always sitting out on the counter.
Yeah, you can, butter can literally, quite literally just be set out on the counter if it's good butter.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, but what about the crumbs on your knife that you get into the butter? That might,
Unacceptable.
yeah.
Use a
Unacceptable.
fresh knife.
That's
Yeah.
like basically double dipping.
You've
Yeah, right.
contaminated your butter, yeah. I was thinking, so Yuri, what is my favorite food? I don't know. My problem is I like everything, but I do like ribs. So I think I should go to the South and travel around and compare where they make the best ribs.
You
Is
see,
that-
if
you're
the
in St.
US
Louis,
renew
they
my
talk about
visa, I
St.
can
Louis
invite
style
you.
ribs.
If the US renew my visa, I can invite you to go with me and my mom because that's
Yeah.
what we're going to do.
You'll
Yeah, I
have to come
said,
to St.
Mama,
Louis. We got ribs.
Mhm.
because we have a memorial service to go in September in New Hampshire. So I told my mom that we should drive the car and we are going to do, you know, some drive-ins in the US. And for sure, we're going to go through New Orleans because that's my mama's dream. She'll see New
Yeah, the-
Orleans.
Barbecue capital of Illinois is 10 miles from my house.
Wow.
Mm.
I don't know
I've already
what,
said to you that we are going to pass through Illinois.
that's
But
what most people do. It's called the flyover state. So yeah, it's, the idea is you just pass through. Luckily, I live in Southern Illinois, which is like all hills and valleys and nature. But most of Illinois is just perfectly flat, lots of soybeans and corn. It's the,
Well, you
everything is good for my mama. But I think you know, we have to call off that. I've already talked with my host mom that
Yep.
either I find a husband until
favorite
July.
food.
I've already proposed, you know,
quit
all.
teasing about. So
If I find a husband until July, I might be able to go to the US in September. But it's just like I just think I'm going to I think I'm going to the US. just
Oh,
next-
Fred's eating at a dinner party.
Yeah,
It's
Fred
not-
also has
It's getting pretty
it's-
late in Brazil.
he's different. No, it's 6 o'clock, almost 6 o'clock. I need to have lunch. I didn't have lunch. But Friday
Well,
is
it's
like
almost night.
different, isn't it?
So,
Isn't that
so
like-
the idea, is there a time of evening when you won't eat past that time? Like I try not to eat past 8 p.m.
If I am on a
Right.
diet after 6.
But
I've a tendency to eat relatively early and try not to eat. So I kind of do partial fasting, which means, you know, you eat most of your food during the day and not into the night. So.
Yeah.
I
If I'm
usually
on a
eat around
diet, I
5
eat
o'clock.
at 6 and I just eat again between 10 and midday.
so do you guys want me to wrap up the dinner party so we can talk about other things, or we still continue to talk about food?
With dinner
Focus.
party.
That's what this is.
This is a
We're
dinner
This is
party.
dinner party. We're talking about food
Recorded
and
them.
But
drinks
it's
and
not dinner time for
I-
you guys. Why do you call this dinner party?
Yep.
Well, it's
I put
different
on a
times.
nice shirt.
Oh, I was supposed to dress up for the.
Yeah, it was a
the
dress
dinner?
up dinner party. Yeah. You didn't, you got the secret code to our dinner party without knowing, getting the invite, huh?
I don't know. I just knew there was a meeting of all, and then I thought that I had my class today, but my class tomorrow.
Yeah.
Your Japanese class?
No, my Japanese class wasn't. Well, I don't really have a class. It's like an online